looking sexy here.
Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else, unless that it's a flat Earth nation and the Golden Age is past, unless they are willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. No, the famous Randy from Wisconsin has not all of a sudden gone back in time and become a handsome young man. It's Vara from Finland. Thank you for joining me, brother. How are you?
Yes, hello everybody. I came to see
All right. Well, you just
what
hold
Alan is
on here
cooking
now.
tonight.
And I want to, honestly, if Sergio or Luther or anybody else wants to pop on tonight, Zach, anybody, because this is going to be a kind of a loose flowing thing for a little bit here. Let's get right with it. I think I'm going to go through these until I get to the pronunciation part of the situation. So there's your thumbnail. There's your thumbnail. Nope, I'm not sharing. I realize I'm not sharing. Maybe I was. I think I was. Nah! Aga Bashan. We're going to get into it. Was he a Nephilim? Or was he a mighty man? Who were that? I know I have some Deuteronomy pulled up.
I'm not familiar with this guy.
You're not familiar with him, huh? Hey, I've had permission in the past from Max Velocity. Watch this, Vara. That's a tornado.
Here it is!
Watch it! Right in front of him.
Wow! Right here!
Right there.
Oh, right there.
Just cross the road.
That thing goes fast.
Let's just run through the tornado.
Oh,
That was a little sidewinder, they called it.
Right here. I get back on. I get back. Oh my God! Wait, twins! What is that?
There's another one.
Sidewinder! Hold on, Chad!
Yeah, this one kind of fizzled out.
This guy.
But anyway,
I would have
No, I would be high on
Let's see
adrenaline
here. So
driving
there's
through that too.
here's the, I think I'm going to save these for later. I got Deuteronomy and John 10 pulled up. Let's see. I think I have these highlighted, and the idea was to leave them open and come back to them. I went to this gem store and got some amazing things I'll be presenting soon. All right, so you seen this? This is 1,000 subscribers. Got a lot of views on this 9-year-old video, and I've never seen such detail. It's San Francisco. Does seem like the gift that keeps giving. The mud flood was Armageddon movement.
San Francisco Chronicle moved into his home on the south side of California Street between Gough and Octavia. Between California and Washington on Van Ness Avenue came other mansions for members of the Crocker and Spreckles families.
Now, this is, I believe he's of Chinese descent, and he talks about, he's an engineer now, and he goes back over the whole thing. And I'm telling you, they can't, San Francisco was built on top of sand. There's no way anybody can even cursorily look at.
We're in possession of the promised land. San Francisco is the great entry point to the Pacific Ocean. O people of California, cherish San Francisco. She is not merely one of your jewels, but the very crown of your glory. So she will be for us the queen city of the vast southern sea. Into her lap shall pour the treasures of the Pacific. Later the same day, construction workers were served a large outdoor dinner at the working site. Newspapers reported chagrin at the unruly behavior of the workers after the cornerstone dedication. Their table manners did leave something to be desired.
I thought that when I first heard that, I was like, well, that's crazy. But anyway, this guy, 9 years ago, he's still making videos. This is the one. We're
Depression.
into it.
With widespread joblessness, many wanted the Celestials or Chinese gone. In 1871, a Los Angeles riot resulted in 17 Chinese hung or shot. The San Francisco City Hall Sandlot rallies of the 1870s were becoming daily affairs in which the Irish working class protested the employment of Celestials. In Sandlot rallies in July,
Oh, what? So anyway, I mean, it's built on sand dunes.
decade or more in rural environments, not in a dense city. So perhaps he was used to moving around on horseback over open landscapes, not on cobblestones and wood plank streets in dense central San Francisco. He was not used to living in a ghetto, but working in locales in which Chinese lived in small groups amid whites with whom he conducted business.
We don't know what happened back then, and it was just a short time ago. I was just blown away here. I just wanted to share it.
Taken down to Butchertown first by cowboys and later by rail cars, often at night, as this calmed the animals before their slaughter. And then there was the dirt and dust. Worley Wong noted, the soil was gray, cracked adobe.
No way of really knowing how old these pictures are
All right.
or what was going on then.
I got a question for you about sand.
Okay, let me get it 1
of the
second.
ranch.
Yeah.
This photograph of the old main shed was taken from a high vantage point, possibly from or around the new Lim Sing house. Oldest son Lim Sing and his own family moved into the main floor of the new house, 12.
You see, that's a masonry house. And, to go back to this other picture,
New house coexisted for a few years.
that one
The ranch had
where
been built at sea level. The new house had been built to align with the future Minnesota Street, elevated
just 1
on
second
fill
here, and I'll
above
get
the
to your
ranch.
question.
This photograph of the
What is this square block building right behind this wooden shed? I mean, I don't think that's wood or anything. I mean, so our history's been rewritten, no doubt about it. So, and we're going to get to it tonight. What's up, man? Sergio,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to hop in here anytime because I want to get into some Trinity busting later. Go ahead, Mara. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
you
going to keep
mentioned-
interrupting you all the time.
No, I'm used to it, man. I'm a very chill dude when it comes to that. But yeah, you mentioned sand earlier, and for you, as the petrified body part expert, I have a question. What is it? What is sand?
You're not going to believe it. It is the most curious thing. What I'll do is I'm going to just take over this search box for the sand is body parts. Sand is blood or whatever, whether it's going to be pus or, I don't want to get gross, but whatever is in your blood veins and things like that. When sand is weird,
Mm-hmm.
It totally organic too, like all the other rocks. That's kind of picture right there. If that's super big, sometimes you can see that, sands are little crystals or they're things that have washed away in the body to me, because in my mind, I'm that one trick pony. It's all I ever see, it's the same thing. So anyway, let's keep moving on here. See what we got here. I think I'm going to, hey, I didn't have to do this one before. Unauthorized event to draw thousands to California forest next month. Okay, this was that Rainbow Fest. I guess you could only read it once for free. And that was, the hippie movement started in the 70s. Then I got into the Louisiana state capitol for just a short time. And the realization, that, what in the world is this? We're supposed to believe in 1 year they popped this up because they had the money, In the 1930s, they popped this up in 1 year.
No, I got the Eagles there too.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. This was Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Population diddly squat. And here you go. Let's get it. It's still the 7th largest, tallest building in Louisiana.
That's a phallus right there.
It's
balls.
the tallest state capitol in the United States. And it's, it was another one of the, mysteries that, I was going through of what kind of a world are we living in. And there's the grave marker. And that's the Senate chamber. Okay, they're not going to make that one too big, but imagine that with a cross in the front. I mean, isn't that really what they call a church, cathedral? They made
Or a
it into
Masonic
a
lodge.
Senate chamber. We know everything's a lie. So the lost trillions. I thought we needed an update. We went over this last night. 2.3 trillion were missing, and it all started. I went over the date on the 9/11. The update on that, because here's the update on September 10th. It was 2.3 trillion. I guess they didn't figure it out. By 2015, it's 6.5 trillion, and they say they found out that it's 21 trillion in unsupported adjustments. So it's not only the 6.5 trillion now that's missing. There's another 21 trillion. And if it's fake money in the United States, eventually everybody's going to go like, hey, wait a minute. We were told we could trust that money in the United States, because the world got suckered into believing that we're not trillions of dollars in debt and don't have any money. But it'd be nice if we had the money. All right. The triune continuum paradigm. Yikesity doodah. Now, before we go any further, and then before we get into here's the part I love, and here's the part that other people may not get that big of a kick out of, but it's what I do. The industrial age was social Darwinism proving to themselves how fit to survive the superior brain had evolved for them to finally rule with dominion that Trinity Godmother had promised. That sentence is a presupposition. Your presupposition has been presupposed pragmatically. Eminent domain placed upon your body, your life property, for your own good. They have eminent domain over your body. It's for your own good, because you're part of a cooperative. If news got out of this, people would panic in public. Minds and public hearts then panic in the park. They have all the permission that they need to prevent panic. They can do even your eminent domain over you to prevent panic in the park. So to prevent a run on the bank, I'm going to jump a shark tank full of Freemason mafia lawyers for fun or distraction. They ran out of sharks, but you can rent the shark tank. Life, property, eminent domain. Now that is dominion. Some people taught chance favors the prepared mind, but chance to them is not providence of God Most High, nor do they teach chance is on the shelf next to a jar of luck. Next to a jar of luck. What does Elohim of the world mean to you? What does the God of this world mean to you? Because that word is Elohim. What does the Elohim of this world mean to you? Are you taking him serious? To me, it means as long as there is a woman in red to distract the men and women of this world. Yes, women too. Because it's a little bit of competition among the women for attention, or so it would seem to me. In Deuteronomy, we have the burden. Deuteronomy chapter 1, we're introduced to the burden that was too heavy for Moses to bear alone. Specifically, chapter 1, verses 9 and 12 was explaining how to choose leaders for a time that was coming up, groups of 1,000, hundreds, 10, working their way up to a Supreme Court of Moses. Chapter 1 ends with a summary of the books of Exodus. We are reminded of the many tribes of giants that they destroyed in chapters 1 and 2 of Deuteronomy. The giants, tribes, numerous. Now, how did they destroy them? With Gibborim, with mighty men of Joshua. You know, Joshua took over for Moses. Go in, be strong, be of courage with these, your mighty warriors, your Gibborim warriors. Now, are they some kind of bad Nephilim, or is Genesis 6 verse 4 your only information about Nephilim in the Bible? Favor was shown to Joshua and Caleb. Israel tries to go into the promised land without God. Blessing that blows up in their face. It's the start of a pattern of continual covenant breaking. Chapter 2, Deuteronomy, starts first with the reminder of the God Most High is dividing the nations under regional Elohim. And we'll see that in Deuteronomy chapter 2. In verses 1 through 6 specifically specifies, don't you mess with Esau when you're going into the promised land, to the strong-armed descendants of Lot's. And it does mention the Ammonites earlier. Ammonites, Moabites, strong-armed descendants of Lot's, the frisky daughters of Lot. The Moabites and Ammonites. I want to welcome Sergio. Thank you so much for your patience there. And how you doing, man? Oh, we got a sound check. Oh, look at that. He's
How's it
live.
I'm outside. I just got home, so give me a second.
Yeah, man. Take your time. And,
All right.
I'm going to go over this one thing of how I got to this, because, you know, before I get to the giants and things like that, when I was going over the live presentation, I got to the triune continuum paradigm. As you can tell from what I wrote down earlier for my monologue, it heavily weighed on that. And so, you know, I looked up, what was I talking about? What is a prerogative and a, you know, presupposition? So I looked them up, and it ended up taking me to the triune continuum paradigm. It is a paradigm for general system modeling. I think we might look at that. The paradigm allows for building of rigorous conceptual frameworks employed for system modeling. And I think that's how I think they're admitting that's how they did it in various applications, highly tailored as well as interdisciplinary. So as recently as 2002, they've got this new paradigm, and it's the triune thing, because it's all got to be triune persons to them. Let's see. The first principle ensures coherency and unambiguity within modeling interpretations of a single modeling framework. I think they cared too much. And the fact that it, with everything else, SEAM, UFO, business modeling, I want to go back just to see how I got here. So the semantic theory of truth. Another one of these from 1935, where if they're going to present a truth to us, they were going to lay it out, through a philosophy of language with their theory of a truth. And, admit there's paradoxes, there's incomplete theories, but still, the world has a truth and they're going to stick to it. They use the same people to, convince it. Wasn't it, who was it here? Somebody, that, anyway, they always use the same people. I'm thinking it was Karl Marx or Barth or somebody. So how did I get to that one from what is a presupposition? I think that is because presuppositional hermeneutics and other things, like it's an implicit assumption. Like if you would read the Bible, you would have a specific implicit assumption that the Lord our God is one, and that a little bit of study and you'll find out he's a spirit. What is a spirit that identifies as male and Father creator of everything. So you can't, I think you read the Bible enough and you'll find out that there's nothing can contain him. You can't build something for him when that's just not a part of the situation. Look how they really go into presupposition, because breaking down of words in their lawyer talk, I almost said lawyerese, but I don't know that. Anyway, got that. Common ground is what they're seeking, and they have found it. It's going to be a very, very narrow road. It's semantics, pragmatics, philosophy of language. Conversation is the set of propositions, interlocutors, possible. Are you kidding me? They've got it all figured out. Synthetic personalization. Now, this goes back to your Trinitarian thing, because this is a big deal that led to it. Critical discourse analysis. Faircloth credited with developing the concept, the compensatory tendency to give the impression of treating each of the people. Jeffrey Epstein, they said they had handlers out with those. Well, I guess we've all are considered handled in mass by them when we sit back and go, yeah, that whole Jeffrey Epstein with his crazy girlfriend, like hanging out with a couple of the presidents, was weird, but wow, Taylor Swift is at the Super Bowl or something like that. Her boyfriend was at the Super Bowl or something. It was a big deal. It was super big deal. I watched the special on it.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, she's super popular over here, man. She's been popular all my life, practically.
What was in the news is Justin Timberlake got a DUI, so that was newsworthy.
You know what I heard? I don't read all of the stories on the Drudge Report, but I do like the Drudge Report because it puts all the links in one place with all the subtitles of the headlines. And you know what, Justin Timberlake, it says, guest disturbs. He was drinking their drinks and mouthing off. And so, I guess, he's going up to the table and drinking their drink and going like, I'm Justin Timberlake, I'm not bringing sexy back anymore. I'm bringing back drinking and driving is not good.
It's funny and
So-
silly, but at the same time, it's like this is what they consider newsworthy. This is what fills entertainment for the masses. It's just mind-boggling.
Been
And
watching
that
it for
has
10
been
years.
so long ago. I remember it was in the 90s. I was the athletic director, head volleyball coach, head basketball coach at Christian Liberty Academy for the Chargers. We were winning 20 games a year, and the girls were talking about 90210. They knew the zip code for Beverly Hills because that was a very popular show. And I'm not sure if Justin Timberlake was on it, but he was that kind of a guy from that town, and then the Britney
Yeah.
Spears blew up and
Back then, they were in the Disney Club. But what
To
I'm
Disney.
yeah, absolutely. It's like it's so stupid of what's on the news. But if you want to learn about something really interesting, did you know that most penguins aren't in Antarctica? Supposedly, that they're found in Argentina. It's just like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Like that's newsworthy to me.
yeah, in Argentina, the way in those maps that it always breaks the circle of what they, that whole Cape Horn thing. That's some seriously weird stuff going on there. I think that's a reminder that I had some pictures to show. My wife used to always say that there is such a difference, Mr. Hughes, in the word like pitcher for a baseball pitcher and a picture of lemonade. And I'd say, well, do I got it right? And she said, you'll never get it right. And I was always like, but I got a lot of things right before. I'm sure I can get it right. No, you don't know how to pronounce it or pin. Okay. So here we go. I guess China is admitting from my lunch break, they're okay. You got us. There's pyramids in China too. They've been telling people for all these, since 1958, when history has started being faked, that, these were just hills. So finally, their crew, they've got it all figured out. He really knows how. He honestly thinks that all of his subscribers, they're figuring this all out in real time. There's your thumbnail. It's like looking in a mirror. Okay, so
You
here's one
wish.
takeaway as we're going to be getting into mostly chapters 1 and 2. So any thoughts that you guys are going to have are probably going to be very relevant. I've highlighted verse 5 of Deuteronomy chapter 9, not because of your righteousness or the uprightness of your heart are you going in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these giants, nations. The Lord your God is driving them out from you, and not all of them were giants, and that he may confirm the word that the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. Now that is our only answer when people say, well, why would God put up with the Hebrews anyway? I mean, even the God of love can't be that patient. Well, he made promises to certain people in the past. That's why. That's why.
He's a promise keeper.
He's a promise keeper, and they're not. Okay, I highlighted chapter 8 and part of verse 3. You can accuse me later of cherry picking. Let you hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. A gentle reminder, verse 23 of chapter 7 says, but the Lord your God will give them over to you and throw them into a great confusion until they are confused. No, until they are destroyed. And verse 8, it is because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to your fathers, that the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery. Chapter 7, verse 4 says, for they would turn away your sons from following me to serve other. If the whole thing is like, why don't you intermarry? Oh, because they got bad blood. No, that's never said. It's always because they'll turn your sons and your daughters away from following me. And you don't want, what happens after that. Oh my goodness. Did you know that the toxins, does anybody remember the East Palestine train wreck? As of today, I didn't get the date on here, but this is as of today, reported today, the gorgeous TV woman Elizabeth Vargas reported that alarming chloride levels, and she was obviously freaking out because they're in New York City. It's in 16 states. That I guess it was much worse than they admitted, and that they should have never caught it over, and that chloride is smothering 14% of the United States, and it's not good for you smothered who want to be mothers. It's just burning, and the residents are crazy. There you go. There's your proof that there's maybe was a baby Tyrannosaurus. Hey, have you ever seen that movie, The Truman Show, where his wife crossed her fingers when she got married? Anybody?
No.
Yeah, on the Truman Show, I remember that scene.
That's
Those are
Onassis and Jacqueline. That's JFK's child bride. They look, there's Carolyn Kennedy. Hang down your head, John Kennedy Jr. This is one of the richest mafia dudes in the world. He picked up a bride. I think she's crossing her fingers. What difference does it make?
Looks like she has underarms.
Yeah. Anyway, this is that guy. He's that Chinese engineer man. I want people to watch his videos. I mean, this thing, he's got videos with 40,000 views. He's got 1,000 subscribers. He goes into so much detail. We thought in this mud flood movement, and I don't care how good you are, conspiracy RS, this guy, he tells us more about St. Louis. Of course, it takes hour and a half but it's very detailed. Anyway, I was fascinated by it. What's that? Oh, I thought that looked like a face. Does
Yeah,
it?
like a devil face.
Yeah, it does look like a
Yeah.
female.
Yeah, I was that's right by my house.
Is that an
Weird, huh?
aerial shot?
Yeah, that's one of those satellites as
Yeah.
you close in on the, I guess Google Earth, the Bing Earth, they got the satellite option. And I was just looking by my house of somewhere, I can drive within range of the batteries on my mini bike. And that's
It's like a face of Medusa.
it really did. That's exactly. I was thinking like, this is getting weird, man.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All right. So they got it all figured out. And you know what it comes down to? We're going to have to be able to communicate. Otherwise, we can sit there in a calm and rational voice and not answer their questions. Because if any of you are ever pulled in by somebody that's claiming to have eminent domain over you, I want to just emphasize one thing. You have the right to remain silent. Keep your dumbass mouth shut. Propositional calculus. Again, they had to go down with the language onto the logical order. They're tricking us with language, man. And I didn't have as much time to get into this as I wanted to. I was one of those ones I was saving it for later, thinking like, well, I'm going to blow them away. It's in the 1600s, but it's the same old thing. And then I still remember the first time I, thought like, oh, this looks like an advanced logic book. And I picked it up and it was math. And I'm going like, oh, I'll never learn it. What is a truth bearer? Well, that's another language saying to them, a truth bearer is an entity that is said to be either true or false and nothing else. All right, there's no 50 Shades of Gray there. Really, you know, based on an article from 1989, they finally got it figured out that that's what a truth bearer is. Pattern of word tokens is a meaningful sentence token. Are they talking to people that they're going to hopefully turn into computers? What's going on here?
It's like commands.
Yeah.
You're just coding it in, man.
Anyway, is this Finland or is this some other country? Maybe it's Greece. You guys need a floodplain handler like this. Oh, Venice! It's Venice, Italy. I saw this thing. They're going to build their $1 billion project to save Venice from flooding all the time with the high tide surge, and this was going to do to be completed. So I looked up to see if it's completed. It's not completed. It's very ambitious, though, you know, to save, because you got to keep it a tourist thing. But they say it's a combination of it sinking, climate change, you know. Huh. Well, anyway, that's
It
about
never,
it for that.
it never seemed like a good idea to build right on the water. I don't know. Just
And, you know, think about all of the money that they've spent in around New Orleans to keep it from flooding, all the money in the big cities to keep them from flooding. You know, where is all? No wonder all the countries are in debt. And so we do have the Deuteronomy 1, all right, and I'm going to introduce this right here. After he had defeated Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan. All right. Now, there it is, guys. You know, we can get into it, but for the start of this, anybody picking up anything about, and they went in and they fought the giants who were the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Because stop me if you haven't heard that. If you have not heard that there is a part of the Rob Skiba, everybody else, the giants, and then Paul from Understanding Conspiracy has jumped on board with the Zen Garcia that, oh my gosh, Genesis 6:4 taught about some bloodline that has to be shopped for, looked for. They're among us now. Well, in Deuteronomy and the rest of the scripture, because that's the first book, Genesis, the rest of them, they talk about the giants that were after that. And never, ever does it talk about them being the problem, because they always are getting their ass kicked by true mighty men, the same word Gibborim, the mighty men of Joshua, or the mighty men of David. So in my mind, I'm hoping that people that God has given the insight into, like, let's question the Trinity, are willing to go into what seems to be the most dug in entrenched position of the golden age past theology, is that the Nephilim are something that we got to figure out, man. If we don't figure that out, we don't have the Bible figured out. When the Nephilim means giants, or no, the Nephilim means giants, the mighty men, the Gibborim that they claim, that's usually the good guys in the Bible. So your thoughts? Let's start with you, Sergio, as a Bible perspective, possibly. Anything?
well, you would have to find out who Og is, and if it doesn't say right here, then maybe find out where else it talks about him, and make sure it's the same person, because they also use this. You know, there's multiple individuals in the scripture who have the same name. But for me, it's not something I'm too versed in, honestly. the whole giants and Nephilim. I thought I was just like everybody else. I thought they were giants, and you're the one who brought up to me like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. Where does it say that the angels actually had intercourse with the women? You know, and I haven't yet studied that. I've been doing other things in study, and I do want to
Life
look
is
it up.
busy.
I want to find out. That's really interesting. That's a good question. I got to
Yeah,
find out.
let's touch on it tonight. Vara, ¿qué pasa? Any thoughts so far?
What was the question about Nephilim?
Yeah, you've heard that all before. I mean, that the Nephilim might still be among us. They might still be snake people or something like that, or lizard people. You ever heard that?
I just know like the etymology of Nephilim is like the Hebrew term is fallen ones.
No, it
And
doesn't. Where'd you ever hear that?
it's the etymology of it.
Is it?
I mean,
Is it going back to the root of it all, huh?
yeah, well, that's what I want to do, right? I want to
Okay.
get the correct translation. And I mean, the modern understanding of its biblical offspring is like
Is
the
anybody else
sons of
wondering what
God and
that?
daughters of men
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but kind
before
of.
the flood.
Remember the law of my servant Moses, the statutes and rules that I commanded him at Horeb for all Israel. Okay, let's leave it there. No, back to this here. You think Moses was not able to bear them by themselves. So, like it said, and this is what we're going to do. The camp of the saints is going to find your own barrack, your own castle, your own tribe, hopefully with wise men, because this is how you're going to survive. Israel refused to enter. This is the rehash. Deuteronomy is a very important book. It is you would not go up, but rebelled against the command of the Lord. You murmured in your tents. All right. Now, so here they finally are going to go up. You are about to pass through the territory of your brothers, the people of Esau, who live in Seir, and they will be afraid of you. So be very careful. Do not contend with them, for I will not give you any of their land. No, not so much as for the sole of your foot to tread on, because I have given them Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. So that's laying it out. You want water, you want food, you make money, you sell them something, you get it that way, and then you'll be blessed. And so they went into it. Now here, and we turned and went into the direction of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said to me, do not harass Moab or contend with them in battle, for I will not give you any of their land for a possession. All these lands are going to be assigned to different gods spiritually over that area, because I have given Ar to the people of Lot for a possession. The Emin, all right, who formerly lived there, a people great and many, tall as the Anakim. Like the Anakim, they are also counted as Rephaim. But the Moabites call them Emin. Doesn't this sound like they're just describing other Nephilim, giants, big people?
Yeah.
Maybe.
They destroyed them. Esau destroyed the giants. Israel destroyed the giants. And now there's a few left over. We should, let's look up. See. I want to look into that etymology of the Anakim too here. See, the Anakim. They called them that. A neck, a giant people around Hebron. Talked about in Deuteronomy. In Joshua, they cut them off. So I just don't see confrontations in Scripture. And it's like another one of the challenges of that, you know, that I'll lay out to all of the other mud flooders. Like, show me one verse of Jesus Christ sitting on a temple ruling for 1,000 years, and I'll consider it. Show me one verse where humans can't kick the crap out of giants and they're not disembodied spirits that can possess people. They're not demons. I wouldn't want to be selling a book right now that said the clowns are Nephilim and then be switching to that the Nephilim are also the disembodied spirits of those people in Genesis 6:4. It's set up for confusion, and the Bible is not about confusion. We'll go to Genesis chapter 6 and look that up if that'll help. Any comments, you guys?
Yeah. So what exactly is are you saying? Is that they're not giants or they are giants? Is what I'm trying to find out.
They're giants.
Oh, okay.
They're giants, man.
Yeah.
They're
100%.
big people. You know, who knows what
Okay.
was going on when people were living 1,000-year lifestyles. And I'm not saying that you could have a pituitary gland go off and there was a giant person. I'm just saying that there were giants. The Bible is very clear. There were giants in the land before the flood and after the flood.
Oh yeah, yeah. Joshua
And
13:12 says it.
and that's when the Nimrod, you know, began to be a man of renown. And these words, mighty man of old, the men of renown,
You just
it
don't
doesn't
think
add
that
up. You
from
can't
the-
use Nephilim,
Yeah.
mighty men and men of renown to prove anything here. That's my contention. You know, we'll start with verse 3 and look at the, you know, I don't know if we can call it the etymology, because I don't even trust, because out of nowhere they throw in.
So you're just saying that they're not from the angels, is what you're saying. They are giants, just not from angels.
I'm just saying it's not proven that they're from angels.
Well, you know, people
Okay,
back
okay.
then, people
Trying to
back then might have referred to those giants as gods when they're
Well, all I
writing.
know is that when you look up Nephilim, it says that they're giants. It says they're giants. And they're also the name of two peoples, one before the flood and one after the flood. But they're the same because
Yeah.
they were Nephilim on the earth before and after. And
Yeah, that's
that
what I've
word
seen.
is only used 3 times. And, you know, once in Genesis 6:4, twice in Numbers chapter 13, verse 33. They were, you know, one of these guys, Anak, were part of the Nephilim. And he got his ass kicked. It's not like, oh my gosh. In Numbers 13:33, a demon-possessed man swept in and kicked all their asses. No, they just gave a bad report. They're going like, we don't want to go fight them because they're Nephilim there. They're descendants of this Anak that come from those giants. We seem like grasshoppers to them. We don't
Yep.
want to go fight them.
Yep.
But if God was on their side and they do a little bit of that martial arts training like King David and his guys, the next thing you know, they're tying them in knots, man. They're hitting them with so many lefts, they're begging for a right. They were kicking them so much, they were be happy when they started punching them again. All right. That's a little bit of an exaggeration there. But as we go back, you know, so let's look up that. They became the men of renown. Where's that one at? The men were evil altogether in their hearts. I should just read it with the English, I guess. They were men of renown. Oh, that's in verse 4 too. Okay. I was there. but I didn't see it jump out at me. The Nephilim, they bore daughters, sons of renown. Oh, it sounds like Shim, and it's a name. Huh. They built up a name for themselves. They had a reputation for themselves. Like right now, who has a reputation for themselves? Famous football players and famous politicians. So it's just a name. It's another name. They called their name Adam, man. Okay. I honestly wasn't expecting, I've known this, but that's a refresher for my memory. All right. And now the mighty men, these were the Gibborim. Oh, they were the mighty men of old, like Nimrod, the mighty men of old. He became like Nimrod. He became a mighty one of the earth. They go from Genesis. You can't go Genesis 6:4 without Genesis 10:8 of Nimrod became mighty upon the earth. He was one of these mighty Gibborim. He was a mighty hunter like Nimrod. Okay, well that's worn out in Deuteronomy 10. But after that, who else were the Gibborim? Oh, the valiant warriors of Joshua. They're the good guys. In Joshua 6:2, once again, those Gibborim. Yay! 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 The rest of the time, yay! This was a man of great wealth. He was a Rockefeller is a Nephilim among bankers. I'm just saying that Rob Skiba, Zen Garcia, and all these other people may be leading us down the Pimroad path of doing exactly what the Bible tells us not to do, and that is endlessly searching gene pools and bloodlines. Good to see you as always, JP. Nimrod underwent a change. Where in Scripture does he undergo a change without going to the book of giants? Where? Where did Nimrod undergo a change? Nimrod became to be somebody that maybe was looked up to. That would be grammatically correct way of it. He became a legend in his own time. People listened to him. What happened during that time period at the Tower of Babel? People were, honestly, if they could have built the Tower of Babel, could anything have been prevented from them?
I think we'll get into Nimrod tomorrow a little bit more.
I remember that in other English translations, they also said that these Nephilim were the mighty men, or it says they were the heroes and legends of time of old.
Yeah.
Famous men, right? So it sounds like it could be figurative, or it could be literal, or it could be both. How do we know? You know what I mean?
Whatever it was, they were
I guess the
special.
context. Yeah, exactly.
They were special. And it's hard for us to imagine somebody being, that special. I remember there was a time I thought I was a pretty good baseball player, pretty good softball player. Then, got picked for this team, picked for that team, and then got advanced up to the next team and set the bench because I didn't even deserve to be on that team. Everybody was so good. The worst player was better than me. I was just a backup pitcher because I could throw strikes but everybody was better than me. And I was going like, wait, I'm the good one. But I wasn't. Where is all this stuff about there he is. Here we go. This is everything we know about Nimrod right here. Unless you want to go that there's more scripture than the 66 books that the Bible calls scripture. Cush was the father of Nimrod. Okay, Cush didn't have any weird parents. Cush, He's
Who's
very
who?
trackable. And he began to be a mighty man. He wasn't born a mighty man. He did that. He became a mighty hunter. Okay. Well, I've heard that means he was a mighty hunter of souls. Doesn't say that. He was just like a mighty hunter before the Lord. Maybe he could feed a lot of people if he was such a good hunter. Who knows? I'm not saying he was a good guy. His kingdom began here, there, and everywhere else. And from that land, he went into Assyria. There he built Nineveh. He's a city builder. That was pretty great. People, you'd be legendary. You might even be named the town Pittsburgh or something like that, or San Francisco. I don't know. And so, what do we know about him right there? I mean, so there we go. Mighty
You wanna hear
hunter.
something interesting. You were talking about San Francisco earlier, and in Los Angeles, they have this old street. It's called Alvera Street, and there's this shrine, and it says to, I forgot the name, but she's Spanish, like from Spain, and it says to so and so, the Queen of the Angels of Los Angeles, or something like that. I have a picture of
Wow.
it. I got to show you guys. It's pretty interesting. Queen of Los
You gonna
Angeles.
share it?
I don't got it right now. I'll share it
Oh.
eventually.
How? When did he journey to the lower levels of the earth? But he journeyed to the. Look, I don't. I don't care what Rob Skevens and Garcia told you, or read from some old book.
Yeah, you got to stick to this.
You know,
You gotta stick to
do you
scripture.
really want to go out on a limb? Because I mean, some of these those other apocryphal books that they take some of these things from talk about Jesus killed a young boy because he made fun of him. But they still accept, well, this other part proves that there was an angel named Ahaziel. I don't care. It doesn't equal the 66 books. The people then knew they were reading scripture. They didn't say, we have to wait 300 years for Chalcedon. They were saying, Peter was saying, these scriptures are hard to understand, but don't let them be twisted by the evil people. They knew they were reading scripture. Woo!
I'm not sure which books are inspired because I'm not God, but I know that we can study the words of Jesus in the prophets, in his own words, in the Psalms, and in the New Testament. And that's pretty awesome,
Yeah.
you know? So I think that's cool.
I want to here's something that I like to show people, because I remember back in the late 1980s when a good friend of mine showed me, I would go to his Bible studies, and all of a sudden he came in excited. He said, we got to go over this. And I said, let's hear it. All right. And so then he read this to me. He said, he started in Isaiah 19, verse 23. And then at the end, he asked me, what do you think of that? And I'll ask you the same thing. In that day, there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria. We were just talking about Assyria. The Assyrians will go to Egypt, and the Egyptians to Assyria. The Egyptians and the Assyrians will worship together. In that day, Israel will join a three-party alliance with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing upon the earth. The Lord of hosts will bless them, saying, blessed be Egypt, my people. Blessed be Assyria, my handiwork. And blessed be Israel, my inheritance. I made promises to their fathers. Something like that. When we read those scriptures and people are confused and they have a right to be, I say, well, that's already happened. Maybe and maybe we're seeing the remnant of that with the roads built all over the world connecting we know our history is a lie.
Oh
They've
yeah, yeah.
taken our true history and turned it into fantasy.
I
They've
drove to
taken
Long Beach
fantasy and
today.
turned it to reality.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm
100%.
excited.
I was just saying, I drove to Long Beach today and just driving along the freeway and seeing, you know, the melted stuff from the supposed, nature area, and then seeing just the old buildings, and it's just really interesting,
I
driving
can't
around. And it's
believe
like, yeah,
how similar the area you live in is like where I live too. It's just like one of the crazy places of the world. So it's all
yeah,
our
there's so
Israelites.
much happened.
I don't know about that. Jo- I don't mind the lost tribes of Israel were never lost. Like, I don't know where they are. They were lost spiritually. That's what the Bible means. You can't write a letter like the book of Hebrews or James, to the tribes in the dispersion. What are they supposed to just throw bottles out into the ocean, and hopefully they find them? No, they knew where they were. Yes, the Navajo, the Paiute, the Algonquin, the Aborigines in Australia, all of those are tribes of Israel that scattered and tried to have their own religion. What was going on? Oh, yeah, I was going to go to Genesis chapter 11 and look at that. What's
Yeah, I don't
going
know
on
about
at
all
the Tower
because
of Babel and the confusion of the languages? Well, the languages were confused because, as we're going to read, nothing would have been withheld from them. And whatever that implies, so they confused their languages, probably into gene pools, as Ken Ham has speculated when I was talking, in the 80s, and he was just starting out. He used to come to our school all the time. That's a good theory that he confused their languages. They spread out. The continents shifted, but all the gene pools were divided by languages. Like, well, we build dirt pyramids, we build step pyramids. There's pyramids on what they call every continent, but they're all a little different. So maybe that, when we get, looking at the Tower of Babel, is what the confusion was over. Slow down, Jordash, and be more specific. Okay. Now, there shouldn't be an adult question of where the people were derived from at this level of biblical discussion. Okay. We know where they led up to, and we know that 8 people, 8 human souls came off the ark. So we don't play dumb around here, and we don't beg the question, and we don't try to trigger me on or lead me down rabbit trails. I'm being what I consider patient. Now we're going to go back to Genesis, and this time we will look at, because that is that could be some ammunition for Vara. Going to go to the plain of Shinar, build ourselves a city. I guess Nimrod helped, said, I built Nineveh and let's build this tower. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the sons of men were building. And the Lord said, if they have begun to do this as one people, speaking one language, then nothing they devise will be beyond them.
That don't sound very nice.
Come down, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand one another's speech. There are Nephilim in the land before and after this. This is after the flood. But, it's not going into detail, Oh, they're building pyramids, and if they hook up with Nimrod, things will get worse. The whole giant thing is over. Where does it get back into the giant thing ever again? It just from here on out, after that point, give me Nimrod, give me giants, give me them acting in a demon possessed way, and then a Nephilim stormed into a valley and kicked everybody's butt, and then demon possessed a person. I'm skimming, but it's not there. It's not.
What's wrong with building pyramids and towers?
What's wrong with obeying the Lord?
Well, a lot if it's like, wrong. Or
Right,
if he's asking
right.
you to do
And if
wrong
anybody can
things.
prove to me that he's ever said anything that is wrong, I'll be the first to concede.
Well, that's what the Bible study challenge is for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Basically, what I'm doing is going with my gut and leaning towards the Bible being the good guys and everybody else. My confusion, Sergio, that's confusing, right? If they could have kept going on, nothing would have been withheld from them. What does that even mean? Isn't that kind of what it implied?
I just hopped back on. I kind of missed it.
If they have begun to do this as one people, speaking the same language, then nothing they devise will be beyond them. We don't have, I think that, I don't think it's necessary for us to say, I've got a full grasp on everything that means, I don't.
I see what
Nothing
you're
now
saying.
they do, they have begun if they all become a hop.
Meaning you can't get into specifics and dogmatic over specifics when it's so vague.
Yeah, and so if they,
I wouldn't say so vague, but it's definitely more broad than specific.
and it's this specifically said, if they do this as one, they had to, work together. We know that with the corruption of people, they're pretty much going to be looking out for number one. So that was the morning. That was the very one day. That was the one day. In Genesis 9, they gathered all the water into, or one place, and then dry land appeared. The first river is Bashan. One rib. They are one flesh, not metaphorically. They will become an Elohim like one of us. And we do know that when the witch of Endor called the spirit of Samuel, for Saul said, what do you see? He says, I see an Elohim coming up. But we know that Samuel did not die an Elohim. He died a man. It's weird. I'm just saying it's weird. So it's the first day of the month. I wonder if we kept going down to Isaiah 45, if it would say the Lord our God is one God. That's a big deal to me too. But, right now I just wanted, I wanted to share the storms. I wanted to share the San Francisco. Yeah, it's weird. This guy is just crazy into San Francisco. So, but he hasn't done anything for years. And look, he went to Burning Man. Anybody ever seen what they do at the Burning Man? This is 2018.
What they do now, yeah, it's crazy.
Get all freaky.
It's a rave.
So I guess they're going to be naked people.
Yeah. Gay stuff.
That's the Burning.
I saw
Wow.
some stuff like that today when I was leaving the aquarium in Long Beach. I guess there's some kind of convention center near, like literally right there next to it. And these people, younger people, adults nevertheless, but younger people, they're walking up to this thing, and the girls are wearing thong underwear and bra and fishnets, and the guys, wearing
As they devour.
little things too. It's just really interesting. It reminded me of the Bible, like these Sodom and Gomorrah people, and these Romans orgies and stuff.
Shoot, girls come to my class and they're wearing bras.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm in university. Some girls come to, and they're not the girls that you would think would want to be showing off their bodies, but they do. I don't get it. Whatever.
I need to attend that class.
Well, you probably just go attend any class.
Of Potrero Hill, helping the United States
Not
to
just
build
here in
its
Alamosa,
Pacific
I'm sure.
fleet, instrumental to the forthcoming American domination of the Pacific Ocean. By 1860, San Francisco was an enclave in which older commerce, immigrants, and transients around Portsmouth Square were packed against a booming working class south of Market and a Tony residential Rincon Hill, all grouped.
There's just no way. This guy is just methodical in tearing apart.
Charismatic Republican President Teddy Roosevelt paid a formal visit to San Francisco. People lined up to view his carriage from south of Market up 3rd to Market Street.
His
With a
carriage.
wide brim hat, Schmitz is seated beside him. The next day, Roosevelt was featured in a Van Ness Avenue parade, standing in a horse-drawn carriage riding southward on Van Ness Avenue from Pacific Heights. At Market Street, his carriage turned around.
That's how people lived, with its big Starfort wall in the background. That's how people lived in the time of Christ. My main takeaway is going to be that all of our history is a lie. Jesus is our one God incarnate. What we have to get our mind around is that we're in the last little bit of a stitch here. White people are turning this around to where all of a sudden it's like we're the ones who are being oppressed. People are picking on white people. Ladies and gentlemen, the cover-up is that from 1958, in the United States at least, we were every bit of an apartheid government, pro-white. You can't vote, you can't do nothing if you were black. From the World War I up until 1964. And that's the way it was around the world. Totally white power. Its residue is still seen in South Africa and around the world. And yet, we white people are fighting it back, saying, no, everything worked out good. Look at how great our world turned out. It had to be that way. And that's their argument. And nobody that looks like me wants to have anything to do with, I never owned a slave. I never profited from it. That's all a bunch of woke nonsense. It is not. This world is a complete cover-up. When you can't get a loan and you can't do these things, it affects you. Satan's been loosed. Our nations are deceived. There's no reason that white people should have made a petrodollar that was running the world, and now it's crashing. It will not be recovered. America's not going to be made great again because it was never great. It was made to fall, allowed like God allowed Pharaoh to be built up. And the rest of the world is deceived into believing that when we go away, everything will be okay for them. It will not. Any thoughts while we're wrapping it up, you guys?
No, man, that's it.
Well, what's your final thoughts on Og, the Bashan, Og of Bashan?
You have any final thoughts on Og of Bashan, Vara?
Well, I definitely believe that giants were a part of our true history at one time or another. Maybe there was giants before humans, or giants became humans through millennia of dumbing down and lowering in frequency or something like that. Or they're grown in labs, or like who knows at this point. So yeah, They're
How
very
do we
interesting
know?
subjects.
How do we know what we can do with their extracting of DNA? And I mean, even artificial insemination is not that hard to figure out, once you get going on it. But in reality, yeah, the whole situation of the stones, and are they giants? Like when I'm doing the rocks, and I'm seeing a blood vessel that's coming out of your heart that's an inch and a half wide. Yeah, that's a 15-footer right there. I base all my rocks, the easiest ones for me to see, because I've been doing this, man, and I've seen all kinds of heart-shaped rocks, and I blow them up. When I'm not being quarantined and left just to do my work, I'll show you the rocks, and yeah, they're going to look exactly like a duodenum pancreas brought together, and I'll show you the pleuris on it and how it connects, and it looks exactly like it. But doggone it, they're bigger than us, So when I'm showing body parts that are obviously bigger than us, that's because there was tons of those Nephilim 15-footers running around back then. And when they got hit with the glittering sword, because nevertheless you will die like men. So what are they, 3-mile giants? The biggest ones down to the 15-footers? I'm good on tracking the 15-footers. The big ones, because of their fractals, are very confusing. But it's a work in progress. So yeah, that's what I got on it. Hope that answered your question.
The sand is still the most interesting part to me, though. Like, it makes sense what you said. It's like, when you think about it, if there was flood or floods, they would be like settled as sand, because they're, the water is like, I don't know how you say it, but it's like decomposing the bodies or whatever. Like, it just becomes laid down on the ocean floor and washes up on shore with waves. Yeah.
And gradually, water is a solvent, and the world is waxing old like a garment. When the glittering sword hits and all of the flesh was reserved in judgment, the muscle and bone and everything turned to rock. The liquids in the bodies that are for specific reasons turn to the gemstones, your pituitary gland, your pineal gland. Those are your emeralds and things like that. Your liquids turn to the gold, to the precious stones. The gold and silver are the metals that are in you, and they are what are in the ground of the Nephilim, and we're the dust made from them. A lot going on, a lot of good questions. If there aren't any more, I'm going to wrap it up like that. If Brother Sergio, would you do us an honor of closing us in prayer and try to remember the many people in the Midwest that have been getting hit by those tornadoes and everything, if you would?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I haven't heard about the tornadoes, but I'll pray for those people.
Yeah, it's right in the brother RJ's neighborhood too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different when it's your home, right, or your backyard or something. But yeah, let's go ahead and pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for bringing us together. We appreciate all that you do for us. I ask that you would increase our hope, help us learn who you are more, and increase our faith, really, and praying for those people affected by the tornadoes out there near RJ, also for Mr. RJ as well. The stream, anyone who listens now and later that's affected by it, I pray it glorifies God our Father, Jesus Christ Almighty, and much more, many more blessings to come. I pray for blessings. So, in your name, Jesus, we do pray.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. It's been an honor to be joined by Vara. Sergio, wanted to remind you that it is a flat Earth nation, the golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Me and my friends never going to tell you anything else. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aloha. Showing me the compass. Nakame. That means adios, avida, saying ciao, and goodbye.